Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. So I did a creation using the DecoArt Iridescent paints. You can see them here. I'll list everything in the description box below. But I did a creation before using a marble and this was the outcome. I'm really pleased with how it dried. I don't know if you can see here, but all the kind of the glitter and the shimmer against that black background with those range of colours. I'll do a close-up on this one again so you can see it, but I'll also link the video that I did for this one in the description box. But today I'm going to use those colours again, but I'm also going to use as my base colour all the paint that I scraped off my table. So when I tilted this one out, the black paint mixed with the DecoArt paints that look white but really transform into a colour have all been collected up into this cup. It looks black, but when I go in closer, I can see some of those colours. So I'm going to use that as my base coat, and then I'm going to swipe over the top with some fresh paint mixed with just pouring medium. All my consistencies and all my ratios will be also listed in the description box below, so check them out. I'm really excited to see how this turns out. I'm actually going to swipe over using a white titanium mixed with Australian Floetrol to create that lacing. So I've got my scrapes from the table as my base coat. I'll take you in to see the colours now. Well, you're really gonna see only white pots of paint because they don't transform until they react. But let me take you down to see the canvas and see the paints. So, as always, let's see what we can create. So here are all the colours that I'm gonna use. I've got a gold, a blue, magenta, violet, white and green. They're by DecoArt. They're the Enchanted Shimmer range. And I've mixed those with just pouring medium and a little bit of water. I'll put all my consistencies in the description box, but you can see here the consistency as it runs off the spatula into the cup. It then disappears. So that's the consistency. I've got all my leftovers from the table. So I've scraped all my table. You might be able to, can you see some of that shimmer? You can see some of that shimmer in the black paint. So it'll be interesting to see how the scrapes from my table react with fresh paint that's laid down. So here's my canvas. I've painted the edges to prepare the canvas itself. That's the creation that I did last time with the marble. So when I tilted this off onto the table, I scraped everything up and placed it in my cup for some more base coat. So my canvas is ready. I'm going to store that painting away, ready to be varnished. I've got all my colours here and I've got my mixtures. So let's go. So I'm going to start out by adding some black onto my canvas. These colours work really well with black paint, so that's the base colour that I've opted for. And I'm just spreading that paint out by tilting the canvas from side to side to get some coverage on that surface area. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each colour one by one and just puddle them on one side of the canvas to allow enough room for me to be able to swipe across. So I'm just taking my paints now. I'll show you each colour that I place down and then we'll continue the process. So for my cell activator, I'm using titanium white by Amsterdam mixed with Australian Floetrol. The ratios that I'm using, 1 part paint to 4 parts Floetrol. So I'm just placing some of that activator, so a combination of the paint and the Floetrol, onto my palette knife. I'm ensuring that it's got good coverage on that palette knife area. And then I'm going to place the palette knife onto the canvas and just swipe across. When I place the palette knife down, I don't press too hard. I just allow the paint to connect and I just gently move it from one side to another. You'll see here how it's starting to react, but you're not going to see any of the colour just yet. That colour really comes into itself when it starts to be stretched out as it reacts with the black paint and as it starts the drying process. So I've used my torch to pop all the air bubbles. I've added a little bit more of the black paint to just allow some more flow across that surface area. But it's now about tilting the canvas from side to side and covering that full surface area of the canvas and then pushing that paint, that volume of paint on top, down the edges and down the sides, and then bringing it back on itself to move it to the other areas of the canvas that need coverage. I just turn my canvas as I go and I just tilt the paint to allow it to cover that white base, and then I just turn it and I just tilt it, and I'm in no rush to do that. It's also about looking at how that pattern transforms, how it opens up and how you look at the overall composition. I'm really happy with how those cells are maintaining their form, and I can't wait to see how those colours are going to transform when they're dry. I don't want to stretch that pattern out too much further, so I'm just going to add a little bit more of the black paint in that corner just to get that coverage of that negative space. I'll allow that tilting to go over that corner. That black paint fully covers that corner, and then I bring it back on itself before placing it down on the stands and letting it dry. And what I'll do is, now I'm happy with that composition, I will take you in for a closer look of this wet version. And I can already see some of those colours taking their own colour. So it all looks white. And actually, if it was just a black and white design, I'd still be really happy with it. But I can't wait to see how these colours really transform. So let me take you in now so I can show you a closer look. I'll tidy up my edges, take all the drips off down the sides, and then I'll show you some of those colours. And I'm going to really try and kind of aim my camera so you can see it. You saw the smile on my face. I'm happy with how it's looking. Let me take you in now so I can show you a little bit more of the detail. So here we go. This is the wet version. See if you can spot any of those colours already transforming. I can see the gold and the blue just there. But I really like how those cells really lay on top. So that cell activator, that Australian Floetrol, mixed with that white titanium. Those are really strong cells there. And I'm hoping that once those colours dry, there'll be a subtle colour just running throughout. And this already gives me that space vibe. So I'll show you a little bit more of the detail, I'll let it dry, and I'll show you the dry version. Okay, so ready for the dry one? Here we go, the dry version. And I love those subtle colours that kind of lay underneath that webbing, that lacing on top. Very much a space vibe. I love that negative background, so that black background. How those colours are just very subtle underneath. And then that white webbing and lacing over the top. I'm really pleased with this, and I'm really tempted to try this but on a huge version. I want to go big with the next one that I do. So let me know what you think. Should I go big with this kind of technique, or is there a different technique you'd really like me to explore using these paints? A big thank you to each and every one of you for being here today. Thank you so much for all of your love and support. It really does mean the world to me. And I hope I get to see you again in the next video. Have a great week. Enjoy your own creativity, and I'll see you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.